हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और लेटेस्ट अपडेट्स के लिए बेल आइकन जरूर दबाएं।
Viewers, welcome to my episode, and this time in English. Today's episode is based on my previous one in Hindi and Urdu, which was titled Arturul Ghazi, Ottoman Empire and India. So now the question is, why am I remaking this episode in English? This is just to honor the request of you viewers who found my story to be very interesting and wanted me to retell you the story in English for the benefit of the English speaking audience. So here I am back with you once again with the story in English. But for all those who have already seen my previous episode, I strongly recommend that you watch this once again till the end, because I will be covering a couple of points more in this video that I simply missed out in the last one. Alright, so here we go. Dirilish Ertuğrul is the name of a very popular Turkish web series produced and directed by Mehmet Bozdag. This is a historical fiction. However, it has found acceptability cutting across geographical and linguistic barriers. It has been dubbed in more than 25 languages around the world, including in Urdu, which has been brought to you by PTV in collaboration with the Turkish national broadcaster TRT. And for the Indian audience, it's available on YouTube. However, there are just over 50 episodes available on YouTube in Urdu. Then you will have to probably switch over back to Netflix to watch the original Turkish one with English subtitles, which is called Resurrection Ertuğrul. So what is the connect between a historical fiction and the interesting story of the relationship between Ottoman Empire and India? India and Pakistan, Bangladesh, these countries were never a part of the Ottoman Empire. However, there is a very interesting historical connect which I will tell you. So stay tuned and listen to the story. Ertuğrul was the father of Osman I, who was the founder of Ottoman Empire, a state and caliphate that ruled over southern Eastern Europe, Western Asia and North Africa. It included countries such as Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, Egypt, Jordan, Palestine and many more. The Ottoman Caliphate fell in early 20th century, making way for a new secular state called Republic of Turkey in 1923. However, after the First World War between 1919 and 1923, a pan-Islamist movement called Khilafat movement, and also known as the Indian Muslim movement, was launched in India by some freedom fighters of the time like Maulana Shaukat Ali, Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar, Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, Dr. Hakim Ajmal Khan, and this movement was strongly supported by none other than Mahatma Gandhi. And the objective of this movement was to restore the caliph of the Ottoman Caliphate. The last prince and the last caliph of the Ottoman Caliphate was Abdul Majid II. It was a protest against the sanctions placed on the caliph and the Ottoman Empire after the First World War. The movement collapsed by 1922 when Turkey moved towards secularism, abolishing the role of caliph. The father of modern Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, soon took up as the first president of Turkey in 1923. Now, Abdul Majid II, the last caliph of the Ottoman dynasty, left with his family from Turkey and lived in France in exile. As he was in a financial difficulty, the Khalifa appealed to the Muslim royalties throughout the world for help. At that time, the richest man in the world was Nizam of Hyderabad, Deccan, India, Mir Osman Ali Khan. The Nizam offered the Khalifa a pension of 300 British pounds. Now here in my previous episode, I made a mistake by saying 350 British pound. But thanks to one of my Indian viewer who is now studying in a university in Turkey, Syed Shahbaz, who got in touch with me on Facebook and gave me a copy of this Farman from the archives there in Turkey and pointed out that it was not 350 British pounds but 300 British pounds per month for lifetime. So thank you Shahbaz for this. Sometime later, Maulana Shaukat Ali brought a proposal of marriage for the Nizam's eldest son, Prince Azam Jah, to be married to Caleb's daughter, Princess Durr-e-Shahwar. The Nizam was pleased with this proposal and asked Maulana Shaukat Ali to proceed with the discussion in details. Now, a dowry of 40,000 pounds was proposed as meher in the nikah. The Nizam was shocked. He was taken aback, listening to the huge amount of $40,000 as the Khalifa was already being given a pension of 300 British pounds per month. The Nizam said the dowry was large enough to get both his sons married, Azam Jah and Muazzam Jah. Now the Khalifa's side heard this and proposed that if this is the case, then another girl, Princess Nilufar, from his family be married to his younger son, Prince Muazzam Jah, within the stated dowry. The Nizam agreed and the marriage was performed in France in 1931. This is how both the Indian prince married two princes of the Ottoman Empire. Prince Azam Jah married Princess Durr-e-Shahwar and Prince Muazzam Jah married Princess Nilufar. I must tell you here that Princess Nilufar was one of the 10 most beautiful women of the world of the time. Later, Prince Azam Jah and Prince Durr-e-Shahwar had two sons, Mukarram Jah and Mufakkam Jah. Prince Mukarram Jah is the present titular Nizam of Hyderabad. So this was the story that I had to tell you. I hope you found it very interesting. Isn't it? Do share your views with me in the comment box below my video. And don't forget to share this video far and wide. And yes, of course, do click on the bell icon and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So till we meet for the next time, goodbye.